most of the time, however, when you're stuck to the point where you're mad at me and writing me nasty emails, it's because you cannot bear to see something as, and I use the word see, we all experience with all of our senses, but to experience something as real and true. So one of my favorite, oh my God, hello, one of my favorite old examples, not that old actually, is we had an advanced group. And one of the people there clearly had a lot of money had not taken his money out of the market. And probably still hasn't taken his money out of the market, despite what the group got. and was just refused to see, because it was too scary for him to see actually what the market was going to do. So he couldn't take effective action. Sometimes, and often what happens is we have a hard time, we don't forgive ourselves for where we are right now. So we don't forgive ourselves for being shy or being underweight or being overweight or being underqualified, and so we block that part of ourselves from our consciousness. My new reality, I really wanted to do this today. I don't know how many of you know, but a 14-year relationship in my life ended in January. And my new reality for the past 2 years has been family. Now, my description of that is that my work and my spouse and my child and his friends, that it all feels like family, the last chapter of the circle, community. And that I am, the part I want to be in it. And so, of course, I've dealt with a lot of reality around that. Well, in January, family meant really being able to let go of this relationship. But then, of course, I just assumed, I didn't put love in the circle because I wanted to work with my own readiness. But kind of in the back of my mind is, okay, I'm free now, Prince Charming. Hello, where are you? Hello. And I'm thinking, well, why isn't this happening more quickly? And that's what I'm focused on, the part of family. Now, meanwhile, everything else is happening. My birth family is getting along. Work is going great. All my students and students who are now practitioners are chipping in to help me get this new book out. Carolyn's giving me plum times at Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble is jumping into help. Like, my son is wonderful. He gets the most incredible girlfriend on earth. I could not ask for more in life. And my ex and I part friends. And he's over every night. And then something else happens, and I say, you know what? Can't do this. So a synchronicity happens, because how can you find a new person if your ex is over every night, right? Synchronicity happens, and so on and so forth. Now, I decided tonight to work with obstacles. And so today, for the first time in a month, I see my ex in the health food store, and of course, not, all of my resolve is just, and what I realized that I wasn't, why do you think, and I want to add a piece. I've been in a relationship since my mother committed suicide when I was 14. I've gone from relationship to overlapping relationship, very few relationships, but very long, always in a relationship. I just recently went to dinner alone for the first time in my life. I'm learning things like driving a car. I'm 50. It's a little pathetic, but why do you think Prince Charming has not walked in yet? And don't tell me it's because my boobs droop, because I have great bras. Why do you think Prince Charming hasn't walked in yet? What do you think it was that I couldn't see? What? No, that I needed to finish loving me. That I needed to say, okay, I accept right now that I'm alone. I accept that. I accept it. I accept my mother's death in a way I couldn't at 14. I accept my divorce the way I couldn't at 43. I accept this ending. I accept grieving. I accept in this moment that I'm not feeling happy, and that I need to find, this is a challenge to me, to find my own happiness. And so I can break the princess cycle, although I did just buy princess stickers. This is my time to say, you know what? It could never happen, which of course I don't really believe, but could never happen. Look at what you have. Look at what you are. And you need to find your wealth inside. So I was writing over and over, I am my lover's and my lover is mine. I wrote, I am my lover and my lover is I. I know that doesn't sound too good, but and so now a lot of us, for example, you're starting a career, and you're jumping for things you that are a little above your skill set, but you're not preparing, you're not seeing what your skill set is because you're afraid to see what your skill set is. So instead, you're just jumping without dealing with reality. And what are you doing when you jump? You're falling. Why? Because you haven't built your ladder. Doesn't mean you have to acquire that skill set. You may have to acquire a way to fake it or another skill set to bring in to make more valuable for what you want. And that's really what Welcome to Your Crisis is. If there is something applicable to that reality that you are not dealing with, you will keep stalling. Now, believe me, and it doesn't mean you have to deal with your entire subconscious. Nobody does that. I don't know how many lifetimes it would take to deal with all the stuff that's in our subconscious. But the wonderful thing about picking a single wish is that everything connected to that wish gets resolved, has to be resolved, to the degree it has to be resolved for you to have that wish. Right? So if a relationship saved me, what would I do? I'd create the same relationship. Right? If you got the job but you never became the person who should be in it, you would live an awful life. If you lost the weight but never became a thin person, you'd be hungry forever. I mean, there are things we don't see. And believe me, intuition and healing, they're not subtle. It's not that you haven't found it. It smacks you over and over and over again. I had people say to me, oh, he's at your house every night. You're hiding him behind your back with one hand and reaching out with the other. Like, this is not going to work. And I'm like, oh, God, they're so negative. I mean, family's family. We defend our warts. We defend them more than we defend anything else. Because, I always tell people when I give readings, listen, I'm not going to tell you what works because you already know that. I'm the Jewish psychic. I tell you what's not working because that's what needs your energy. We don't notice what works. And sometimes we actually have to when we're going out and presenting ourselves. But we really build elaborate structures to stay away from what we don't want to deal with. And intuition truly clubs us with it. I mean, I really love the circle with the journal, because when you look over your finished journal, you'll say, oh my God, I knew all this. How did I not know that I knew all this? Because it's all written down. You have documented it. So, and it's really wonderful, once again, to have a group. Because in a group, and when we read each other, we're able to illuminate for one another our blind spots. That's why I tell you that often when you give a really great reading, even if it's about a company, don't think it's only in interpersonal relationships. You say to someone, this marketing plan's not going to work. Oh, yes, it is. We have put $200,000 into it, and we have the top people, and it has been tested, and blah, blah, blah. It's not going to work, and I'm going to tell you why. Because it's always good to justify your intuition, to say, this is why, and then you'll notice this, and then you'll notice. But no, they will be bound and determined sometimes because they're invested. They've locked the lock, they've lost the key, and they're not willing to go to the trouble to actually break the lock. And letting go of those things is really like sawing through a lock. It is a laborious process. You cannot read the circle or get a little bit of information and change your life. We are patterned creatures. And it is a practice.